You know what? I feel so good because I saw LaLa in the green room getting into the groove. I was so good. And I said, let me use a different intro today. And you saw LaLa just go LaLa, go LaLa, go LaLa. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 500,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. Yes, yes. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we're broadcasting on no, it's not. It's the it's the third last February it's the third last Saturday in February. LaLa's going, Dr. Vibe, where are you going today? Where are you off to? You know what? One day we have to see baby pictures of LaLa because I want to see if this face has always been in action from day one. She's nodding her head. She's going, yeah. Yes. So, yeah, we're broadcasting live on the third Saturday in February in 2026. And in fact, I don't know if people realize it. This month has 4 Sundays, 4 Mondays, 4 Tuesdays, 4 Wednesdays, 4 Saturdays, and 4 Sundays. And this only happens once every 80 plus years, where each one of the days of the week, there's only 4 of them. I think trivia is done. All right, trivia is done now. Hey, you're not here for me. You're here especially for these wonderful ladies. Look who is back on the block. OMG. Aisha K. Staggers. So, you know what we got to do? What do we got to do if Aisha K. Staggers is back? There we go. She is back on the block. What is going on, ladies? How we doing?
It's been a week, but Monday's my birthday, so I'm celebrating early. Yeah.
Happy birthday to LaLa.
Me, I'm struggling with the connection.
No, you're doing okay.
Yeah, we got you pretty good.
We're good. You're good. No,
I can't hear you guys. I can't hear you guys.
You can't? Oh. That's not good.
You guys are slow on my end.
Okay. Well,
I see LaLa moves fine. It's not bad. I don't get it.
You're good on our end. You're good on our end. It's okay. So we're good. We're the originals are back. Let me put it that way. The originals are back. So good to have you back.
I can see LaLa and I'm having no problem with LaLa, but Dr. Vibe, you keep freezing on me.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's on my end, everything's okay. LaLa, you can see me good and hear me good?
I can. It's probably just her internet.
Yeah, her internet connection. Okay, well,
Dr. Vibe, you asked and you received, so I just sent you a baby picture.
That's why I got a notification. Should I show it on screen?
Sure.
Okay, let's see if I can bring it up. A LaLa screen pic, the baby pic. Okay, we got that. Let me see if I can. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Oh, there we go.
Yes, and so I had a look on my face, didn't I?
There you go, right from day one.
That's been from day one, Dr. Vibe.
Right. Well, so what's that old song? What you see is what you get. There we go.
Yes.
I see all that good because of the lighting, but thank you. Maybe we use that as your profile picture. I don't know. No, not really.
My mom and I were looking at old videos of my daughter today when she was 10 that I'd taken.
Oh my goodness.
You get to remember the face. Yeah. And you remember what their voices sounded like at that age.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. So Aisha, it is so good to have you back. You have been missed.
Yeah.
I have been through it.
I've been through it.
And then some,
But you
eh?
know, yeah, but you know what though? It was a good thing, because I've been hearing more stories about people who've had some of the similar things going on with their health. Just for our audience sake, I had a lump in my breast,
Mm.
and well, I actually had polyps, uterine polyps. I found out about the lump in my breast while I was having surgery for the uterine polyps.
Ouch.
And so, right. So with the lump, my PCP and the other doctor said, well, wait 6 months, come back, do the mammogram again, and then we'll see. And I'm like, no, that's how Black women die.
Yeah.
So because I happened to wake up and get that result while I was in the recovery room, the doctor who did my uterine polyps, I asked him, can you please handle this thing on my chart? And he's like, don't worry about it. You take care right now. We'll get you in. And he got me in with a breast specialist on his team. And she said, well, you know what? Probably benign isn't what you need. You need to know yes or no. And so I had it ended up being a cyst. They removed it, drained it, removed it 3 weeks ago or so, and checked the tissue. I had to wait for that tissue to come back, the surrounding tissue to come back, but the lump itself was benign.
Yeah.
And all the tissue, I learned all the tissue around it this week is totally healthy. So
Amen.
that's
Good. That's so good.
that's a good thing. But the polyp thing is going to keep happening until I have hysterectomy. So I'm having that done in the next month or so.
Okay, so she's back for a bit, and do note she'll have to take some time back off. But LaLa has been amazing, and Dr. Tachi
I got your back.
I've seen it.
has been amazing.
And I'm just like, people, get your tests. Women, get your mammograms, your pap smears. Men, get your checkups, because this stuff is how we die.
People, please. One of the things out of this conversation, get a doctor. Please, and it's one thing to go to a doctor. It's another thing to have a doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And as Aisha has shared with us, she has a doctor that knows her medical history.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's, we're all going down the highway of life, and health is more and more important than ever. And even up to this week, a very close business associate of mine, she's a mother, has 2 kids. Her husband, in the last 3 or 4 years, have had 6 times his stents have exploded.
Oh, wow.
Right. And it happened again recently. And when she said, you know what? She had a choice of, having it going further at the local hospital or a hospital that's a little bit of distance. It's her doctor. They know his medical history, etc. So she's going that route. So get a doctor first. Yeah. Second of all, get knowledge of your medical history on both sides of your family.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's breast cancer on both sides.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
My aunt passed away from breast cancer in 2020. Right. So I was nervous about that, but I was with the polyps thing, I was really expecting to have to deal with this again, because when I was 25, I had a precancerous condition in the cervix. And I'm like, when I was having that taken care of, I'm like, when I'm 50, I'm going to have to deal with this again. And here I am, 50, having to deal with it again. So it wasn't unexpected. But I think for me, I had a regular mammogram in January of last year. I felt a lump a few months later. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, this doesn't feel right. But, one of the things that I have come to learn is that if you don't like your doctor, if you're not getting the answers you think, it is okay to leave them and go someplace else. And also to read your My Chart, read their notes, because I've also found out that the doctors who it might not be their specialty that you're seeing them for. So if they see something else, they're not necessarily going to tell you that they saw that.
Right. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah. It just happened that I had a gastro doctor who was looking at something else. And he said, yeah, I saw what I think looks like fibroids in your uterus. So make sure you get in touch with your gynecologist. But other gastro doctors had seen me too and did the same ultrasound, and not one said anything. But when I went back to look at the chart, they had noted it, but no one said anything to me. So I'm very thankful to that. Yeah, I'm very thankful to that doctor, because if he hadn't said anything, I would not have known. So,
well,
yeah.
I know I may sound like a broken record for some of the people that watch this on a regular basis, but I go to my doctor every month.
And you know, that's a blessing that you can.
And I'm not paying for it because I live in a province that you don't get charged. But the other part of it, though, so for people in the United States, I live in the province of Ontario, which is similar to like a state in the United States, like Missouri of the United States. And the population of the province of Ontario is about 10 million people. Believe it or not, there are 2 million people in Ontario that do not have a doctor.
Wow. But see, that and then you had what 10 times that to the US.
Mm-hmm.
And like people I don't think we really take stock of how lucky people are in other countries. I think this has been my thing with America lately. And I've been really taking a break back from a lot of social media and engagement like that while I've been recovering, and it's been beautiful. And I spend a lot of time watching TV in other countries. And what I found is that as Americans, we are taught to believe that we have the standard of everything. And the truth is we don't, especially when it comes to healthcare, and that other people in other countries, Canada doesn't want to become the 51st state of the United States, because
I can tell you that for
everything
sure.
they have is better. Everything they have is better. Their healthcare is better. I was looking at New Zealand. I watch New Zealand TV shows, Australian TV shows. Their healthcare is better. I'm like, this is really an issue here. And you know, I've noticed, even just being here on the mainland of the US, the threat from our government is affecting people's health care, because it was Yale Hospital that told me to wait. Okay. They have a monopoly, Yale attached to associated with the university. Okay. The hospital I was born in, and they've got great caliber doctors, but they told me to wait. And they've got pretty much a monopoly on this area of the state. And I've noticed that they've been cutting back on certain things. That's because they've got lawsuits. They've got like 10 lawsuits going on right now on trans care, because there's nothing that requires them to stop providing trans care to adults, you know, young adults and teens. But because they're afraid of the federal government, because the university is afraid of the federal government, it is impacting how the hospital is treating people. And now families are suing them behind that. And that is a very scary place to be, to where a healthcare organization, because it's attached to a university, is operating on the fear of the government in terms of how they're treating people. And this can't go on, because people are going to die.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, and it's been we're already on fire, I want to actually propose another future topic for us. This trial that's going on in California about this young lady suing social media platforms, and you know, claiming that they're addictive and this. And Mark Zuckerberg right now has been on the stand for the last few days. Just want to throw that out there. Maybe we talk about that next week or the following week, because I believe it's a very valid conversation in the world.
It is very valid.
Yeah.
You know,
it's affecting everybody's health, and especially children, young minds.
Well, what about adults too, right? So there you go. There you go.
Let me tell you, I have limited my social media intake gradually, but even more so. And I'm telling you, I feel so much healthier and happier without it, without the constant obsession. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So We are going to go on break. When we come back, we'll do some quick housekeeping, and we're going to get into some topics that seem to be going on in today's world. So we'll be back in 15 seconds.
Watch The Morning Vibe live on Mondays and Fridays at 9 a.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe and Ryan Knight discuss important subjects between themselves or have conversations with people who you need to know about.
Why you gotta have the snow? What are you doing? You putting that in my face?
Well, hold on a second. I still have snow outside too, by the way. Thank you very much. We're going to be getting a little bit of snow, but I don't think as much as you're
getting a little bit. We have a blizzard that's supposed to go from tonight till Monday.
Yeah.
And then again Wednesday. And then again Friday. And then again a week from
really? You're getting
and then again a week from Monday through Wednesday.
This has been this year so far weather-wise. We've got a little bit of break now because we've been getting some rain the last few days, but January 2026 was wretched. It was like, I don't know if I had said this, but when I got up on February 1st, I had to really say, is it really February 1st when I got up? Because January was rough. It was rough, but
no.
Yeah,
we just got rid of the last couple feet of snow. Like it's still like maybe like a foot in some places left over, but it's been melting, and now we're about to get slammed again.
You just cleaned up, and now you're gonna have to dig out again.
Right, and it's like everything outside is just wet from everything melting.
Well, that's
it's
the difficulty. Wet. That's what I'm saying, because we've got slush in our street. They haven't plowed it really like completely. What's going to happen when it's going to get colder in a few days? It's going to freeze. It's going to be like ice, and it's going to be lumpy and don't like that. Let's get to go.
And I live on a dead end street, so we don't get the the plow the way they should.
All right, girlfriends chat has been on hiatus for a little bit, but it's still on those different platforms. I'm waiting for the day that it's on YouTube. Thank you very much. Also, Primetime Saturday store. Gotta get, one day I have to put something in there. I think I actually on another show that I host, there's a gentleman who comes on who does promotional material. He says he's making cups.
Yeah,
so
cups are fun.
There we go. Join our Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe, the dr, vibeshow.com, or click on the link in the Discord thing. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. So, especially since we've been doing this now live, horizontal and vertical on YouTube, subscribers have been going up, 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 up. So here's my challenge to y'all. Why haven't you subscribed? Like one of my mentors, who I chat about with LaLa offline, a gentleman named Kirk Nugent, says, if you're going to subscribe, engage. Whether it's live or on the replay. If you're going to subscribe and just sit there, rather you not subscribe. We want engagement. Thank you very much.
And
so I've got LaLa approval on that message.
And call the show.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I wonder if we're going to get our friend, you know who I'm looking for to call the show one day, right? Regina, one day. And when that happens, I'll get up out of my chair and leave for a moment. I will do that. I'll just go, me goodness, me mercy. Oh my gosh. All right. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. To advertise your business product or service on the show, please email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. Dr. Tachi, can't forget her, Indie Soup TV. That is her independent content creators platform with about 25 independent content creators and over 28,000 YouTube subscribers, which puts her subscriber-wise in the top 4% of all YouTube channels. And okay, there's an announcement coming about Dr. Tachi, but I'm not going to say it now. And then if you got a question or take, call us. Go to your favorite browser, callme.rode.com, use the code FSP L8L. Hit that. Then go to the next screen, fill out your name, hit the join. We're good to go. All right. And I know that there's some people saying hi. So guess who's here? Of course. Guess who's here?
Jen. Hey, Jen.
Jen Myers. We're getting several inches here too. 3 storms coming this week.
Oh, she's in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Oh, and thank you, Jen, for checking on me while I was recovering. Yeah,
Ouch. 3 storms this week?
yeah, that's us here. 3.
Ouch. And she says, hello, everyone. All right. There's always things to chat about. What we gonna, actually, before we're gonna have our first subject, we're gonna show a little bit of video for about 2 minutes. We're gonna get into our first conversation piece. So hang out with us for 2 minutes. We've got a little video to introduce our first conversation topic. We go.
The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, better known as HUD, is making a controversial move that could affect thousands of families. The agency has announced plans to end federal housing assistance for households that include members with mixed immigration status. So what does that mean? Under current policy, families where at least one person is a U.S. citizen or has lawful status can receive housing aid like public housing or Section 8 vouchers, even if other family members are undocumented. The benefits are adjusted so that only eligible people in the household receive support. HUD's new proposal would change that, making the entire household ineligible if even one person lacks legal status. Advocates say this rule could have devastating consequences. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, more than 25,000 families could face eviction or lose assistance, including tens of thousands of children who are U.S. citizens. Many fear this will lead to an increase in homelessness and housing instability for some of the country's most vulnerable families. HUD, on the other hand, argues the policy is about making sure American citizens and lawful residents get priority access to limited housing resources. Critics counter that this reasoning doesn't hold up, calling it a politically driven decision rather than a fair housing one. The proposal is expected to face significant legal challenges and public opposition before it can take effect. But if passed, it would mark a major shift in federal housing policy, one that defines eligibility by immigration status, not need. In short, this move highlights the ongoing tension between immigration enforcement and social policy, and its outcome could impact thousands of American families caught in the middle.
All right. HUD moves to end assistance for families with mixed immigration status. Before we get the ladies to chime in, Jen Myers says, hearts to Aisha. We have a listener here on YouTube. Thank you. Great vibes, positive. And Enlightened Being says, hey, family struggling with this government job. It's cutthroat. Oh, my. Okay. Ladies, let's do it. What do we want to chat about on this?
Go ahead, Aisha, because I got a lot to say.
Well,
oh boy.
Well, I should start by saying they announced this, and then yesterday, HUD had on its website an ad that basically blamed housing affordability and housing and the rising cost of housing on immigration, and basically saying that, we're getting all this out so that your housing costs will come down. That is fundamentally not true. Right now, I'm actually in the process of apartment searching. Let me tell you something. Apartments are not unaffordable because there are migrants taking up all the housing. Let me be very clear, because if they were, all of the apartment complexes that I've visited would not have so many vacancies. They have vacancies because they are asking for too much. They are asking, in Connecticut, you have to make, in most places, 3.5 times the amount of rent per month. So if the average 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment is $2,000 and up, you're looking for somebody to make between $7,500 and $9,000 a month in order just to qualify. What 23-year-old do you know is making $7,500 a month on their first full-time job starting out? I have a 23-year-old, and I know that she is not, right? That's why you have all these young people who have to still live with their parents because they can't afford that. Not only do they have to make 3.5 times the amount of rent in my state, landlords are asking for up to 2.5 the salary, the the month's rent and deposit plus the first month's rent. So we went one place and the guy wanted like $9,000 security. And that was like 2 months rent, last month's rent, and first month's rent all at once. And it was like, this is insane. And so that is why you have the housing is unaffordable. But also too, there are a lot of, look in your local area, there are a lot of property management companies buying up all the affordable housing units, flipping them, and then charging premium prices for rent, not market price. I mean, they're charging a premium price, which is causing the market prices to go higher. And so this is the conundrum that you have. So they're saying that they're ending assistance for families with mixed immigration status because they believe that this will lower costs. They're trying to convince people it's a sleight of hand. They're trying a sleight of hand. But here's the other side of it too. And I need people to be very, very clear-eyed about it. The other reason for this is that if families with mixed immigration status, those 25,000 families get lose their whatever, right? And also just be clear, to qualify for HUD, you already have to be a citizen. Let me just make that very clear. But those people, when they're homeless, what did we see happening last year? On the low, in a lot of cities, a lot of jurisdictions, they changed their laws for vagrancy and homelessness and are arresting people who are laying out on the street. We talked about this, I think, like maybe 2 years ago, right? When they were doing laws that if you sleep outside, you can be arrested. So if this happens, they can arrest them. But guess what they're going to do when they arrest them? Arrest them and deport them, even if they're here legally, because they do not have a residence. In order, if you're going through the immigration process, you also have to have a residence, a legal residence. And so I hate the fact that the functions of one department are being used and abused for the purposes of another. But this is where we are.
Let me repeat, and then let me stomp it in the ground. Non-citizens do not get the subsidies that American people do. If you live in a mixed household, the only one who is getting any kind of help is the American citizen. And they make sure of that. So if you have 3 in a household and the child is an American citizen, the parents are not getting anything. They divide it all up and only give the child the amount that needs to be used for. Now, people get mad at that all the time, but baby, we go to other countries and have babies too. Just look at our first lady, our so-called first, as I like to call her. Because she's not an American citizen, but she show marched herself right on over here and had an anchor baby and did all those things as well. So this is a case of not for me, but thee. But there is nothing fair about this. There is nothing that they're trying to hide in the fact that they want to make America white again. If you look at any of the posts that they do on their Instagram, on their Facebook, anywhere that you see, you have these old school 50s style advertisements where there is nothing but white people enjoying picnics, white people enjoying homes, white people enjoying life. There are no pieces of color in there at all. And let me tell you something else. Scott Turner needs to be ashamed of himself. But then again, if you lost in the sauce, then you'll never understand that you are the problem. Now, there's the fact that Trump has put in 2 Black men who know nothing about housing speaks volumes. So he's out here just cheerleading for all of this in the first place. Let me reiterate, if you are not a citizen, you don't get subsidies. And Simon, you keep howling about Joe Biden. Joe Biden gives all these illegal aliens hotel and no, love. This is the things that you want to believe. This is the propaganda that you are being fed and you're swallowing wholeheartedly. So if you got a problem with that, how about you go knock on the White House door first and ask why Melania is here and how come Barron is still allowed to be here? How about any of Trump's wives that came over here, except for what's her name, old Marla, whatever, Marla, and he don't even like that child. So you have twisted facts in their head, feeding this to you so that you can feel like you're going to be secure and that life is going to be better once all these immigrants are gone. But baby, America has been built on immigrants. That's what we are. This is the great American melting pot. Them white people didn't belong here when they first came here. The Native Americans belonged here. All right. They stomped them down to the ground, and now they're even trying to deport them and took their land and then made them stay on certain ranges. Okay, they're in their own little tribe. They can't come out of that. And now they're even trying to take that from them. Yeah. This falsehood, this racism, this lie of a narrative and a propaganda is just so you can feel comfortable in your whiteness. People are not getting free stuff if they are not an American citizen when it comes to housing. You can't tell me otherwise. This is my business. It's what I do. And I can tell you, maybe one or two people in everything that you do. I don't care if it's housing. I don't care if it's corporate. I don't care if it's whatever you're in. You're always going to have somebody slip through and do something crooked, but not to the extent that you think that it's happening. So the fact that their whole plan, as Aisha has said, is to get these people out of these houses, get them on the streets, have them arrested and deported. But what does that mean for the children who are American citizens? Because they're taking them with them too. And that's not fair.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and let's be very, very clear. I doubt anyone who is complaining actually read any of the legislation that created HUD on the federal level, and then the state laws that govern it. I have, because I actually read pieces of legislation for fun. And what I found is what everything that LaLa says is true. I mean, that literally is like in the first part of the statute, it's literally like in those first 10 rules that you have to be a citizen to qualify. Now, if somebody is a citizen, and let me be very clear, I think the other part we have to be very clear-eyed about is who gets the majority of HUD assistance. They are not Black and brown people. And that is you can't be a majority and not have the majority of public assistance. It just does not work like that. That is basic math. That is math that you should have learned in first grade, kindergarten, basic math. A majority will always have a majority of everything. The word disproportionate is what trips people up. And that part means compared to the portion they are in society, it affects more than it should. But it doesn't mean that it's the majority. That's right. Just period. So right. let's get that out the way, because the thing is, we can't have a conversation if we don't understand the terms that as they are. These are not things that are that have shades of gray. They're black and white when it comes to the how the federal government is and the law is. No, you cannot. And no, there is not that much fraud in it, because guess what? I promise you, the way this country is set up, first of all, the HUD thing was not established to help Black people. It was established to help poor white people coming out of a depression. But
that's right.
If there was that much fraud, and if that many people who they didn't think were getting it, they would shut it down. And I need us to be very clear that the purpose of this this advertisement on HUD's social media accounts saying that it's, you know, the immigrants are the reasons that you're not getting this, is because they've been, the senators and House members have been getting a lot of angry calls about affordability. They want you to stop talking about it. They want you to stop talking about it, but don't. Keep calling. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It is expensive. Regardless if you are a D or a R, the cost of living is expensive. And also the cost of living doesn't discriminate by political party. However, I have learned certain things, like if you try to get an Uber and your phone charged, if your phone isn't charged fully, they will change the cost.
They sure will.
Because they think that you're desperate to get home. So you'll pay more if you have less charge on your phone than if you have more. That is something. I mean, but the fact of the matter is that we're all trying to figure this out. And in trying to figure it out, we have to agree on certain basic facts. And the certain basic fact is, in our code of laws, you cannot get that without being a citizen. If your child is a citizen, you can apply for that child. But right. again, that would only be, it's not like they're going to give you a $6,000 apartment, whatever. They're going to say, okay, this is what the child portion of the housing would be. The rest of y'all got to pay full price. That's how that works. And I really get so aggravated by social media, which is why I've been taking a break from social media, because social media allows you to not believe in facts. If you want to hide a fact in the United States, you know where you put it? In a book.
Maybe that's right. Because ain't nobody reading it.
Nobody's reading.
Regurgitating and parroting whatever they hear.
Right. And I've been doing so much more reading of books. If there's information that they don't want you to know, you will find it in a book. I promise you.
Do I have permission to interrupt? Okay. What would you like to do? Comment, or I do have the video that's been put out by HUD that you were talking about. What would you like to do first?
Let's look at the video. Let's look at the video.
So let me put the video up and make sure I've got it set properly and make sure everyone can hear it. So here we go. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay, could we hear it?
Yeah. Who's the subject? Who's the subject? Who's the subject? Who's the subject?
And I can say this, right? ICE has been in my state rating, particularly Danbury, Connecticut. They've been in other places, and I can tell you that the cost of apartments and housing things haven't gone down; they've actually gone up by $100.
Okay,
on average.
So
that's not, I mean, deportations are ongoing. Let's be very clear. Coming from a researcher, correlation is not causation. One doesn't prove the other. Just because someone says two things are related doesn't necessarily mean they are. And the perfect example that I give people this is that, for example, when the number of ice cream sales go up, so do the number of drownings. Do you think that it's because people are eating ice cream and then going swimming? No, it's because of an outside force there that's causing both, which is summertime. People buy more ice cream in the summertime. People swim more in the summertime. So ice cream sales are going to go up in the summertime. Drownings are going to go up in the summertime because more people are swimming. That is how data works. These two things that they're throwing together, oh, the deportations will lead to lower costs for housing. No, they won't. And if you know any immigrant families, they're living multiple people in small quarters. It's like a family of 6 or 7 people sharing a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay.
Sweetie,
So
in LA, I have seen up to 15 people in a
Right.
2-bedroom apartment.
Right. So whereas you might have two families living in one apartment, and that would ordinarily be 2 apartments. No, there's still that extra apartment available for rent. And they're trying to give this look, well, you can, let's clear all the immigrants out and you'll have this perfectly lily white community again. Guess what? There are tons of those that you can move into. The problem is you can't afford it. And you should ask why you can't afford to live where the other white people live. Because the homeowners associations take over neighborhoods and things like that. Ask people, why can't you afford, if your problem is you don't want to live near Black and brown people, why can't you afford to live where the other white people live? And it has
so much deeper. It's not about
immigrants out. That it's not about immigrants having those houses. It's because the cost. And these neighborhoods, again, owned by these property management companies they are trying to cultivate a certain type of clientele, but also too, the money grab is the money grab. And what I feel right now coming, we're going to have some kind of housing bust soon.
Oh, no, baby, we're in it. You're not being reported. It's not being reported. Do you understand? Just like they don't want to report how jobs are not good. They don't want to report how the economy is not good. Matter of fact, even now polls, the Gallup poll is no longer reporting anything that has to do with presidential favorability or anything, because they've stopped, because Trump has got into their head as well. But it's not being reported. But foreclosures in January were skyrocketed. You're just not hearing about it.
And you won't hear about it until the banks suffer so much that they go to the federal government for another bailout. We're approaching 2008 levels of foreclosures. And the only reason that you don't know about it is because people aren't reporting. There's so much going on. Like I've said before, everything all at once. There's so much muck in the air that that news media can't even, 24-hour news media can't even cover everything. And this, unfortunately, this area, the housing, is one thing that affects everybody, because everybody needs to have a roof over their heads. That's everybody right. Should not, I'm sorry, but the cost of your housing should not be 75% of your income. There's where does that seem right? And I don't care, I don't care if you are a D or an R or what. Where does that sound right? That any person who works full-time in this country is paying 75% of their salary to a mortgage, a bank lender, or to a corporation that owns housing units. They might as well work that 75% of your job for you.
Well, here's another lie that y'all think you're drinking and is good news, is that, Orange Pants came out talking about he's going to put a stop to investors buying homes. That was a lie. They can buy homes in the rental sector, and you can still buy homes and then just make them a rental. So that was another loophole that is done. Now, Simon, honey, I know you like to hear yourself talk, and it's cool. But if you obviously drank the Kool-Aid, and you obviously are really, really drinking all the propaganda that they're giving. You keep referencing things like, my father, when we grew up, he had 10 kids. We are living in a different time where people are working 2 and 3 jobs and working 60, 70, 80 hours just to pay their utility bills. We're not living in those ages anymore, Simon.
And Simon, my grandmother had 11
trying
kids.
To live in the past, because that's what they're trying to take you back to. That's not the situation for today.
Yeah. And and like I said, my grandmother had 11 kids. My grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather had 11 kids. And they had their own store for a time, right? So there is, I mean, it's not that that opportunity right now to have a physical store, it costs too much for a lot of people. The things that my grandparents were able to do with 11 kids, you can barely do now with 2. And everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. That is why the birth rate has plummeted, because people can't afford to have children. Young women and young men can't even afford to get married at this point, because it just costs way too much. And I do the thing where I don't even read the comments. I'm like on our private chats. So I can't even see what people are saying. I only know about Simon because you mentioned him, LaLa. But one of the reasons I myself have been taking a break from social media is because of all the junk that is getting spewed in the comments, I'm sure. All the junk that is getting spewed when it's like, why am I going to waste my time reading infactual information when I can just go directly to the source? If you ever want to really know what's going on, skip finding out what so-and-so says, skip this. Don't even read the New York Times. Just go to the source, the U.S. Code of Laws. And they have a search engine. You can look it up. They make it as usable as possible. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of words in there that some of you don't understand. Have a dictionary right next to you. But
okay,
go to the source. This HUD stuff,
you
got to read the source.
I do want to share some of the comments, so give you guys a break for a few moments. So, got viewer here saying HUD should not defund the people, but rather work to postpone their deportation and detention threats to wait until 47 is gone. Simon says, why should we help non-citizens when we have homelessness here in America? He also says Joe Biden gave Simon says Joe Biden gave illegal. So let me read through all the comments and then you ladies can respond. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. So Joe Biden gave illegal aliens, if you have any responses, illegal aliens a hotel and loaded debit cards. Longtime friend Matt says, what's going on, Aisha and LaLa? Good to see you. Producer Matt, who was with us for a time.
Hey, Matt.
The First Lady went through the process of becoming an American citizen the legal way. She entered here legally. Says Obama deported more illegal aliens than any president in history. Is he racist?
No, but you guys
also saying if borders don't matter, neither does who stole the land. I'm not going to put that one up. Also says in the current fiscal year 2024-2025, California is expected to expend approximately $8.4 billion to $9.5 billion of state-funded Medi-Cal health benefits for undocumented illegal aliens. Enlightened Being says, Simon, you drank the tainted juice, bro. You're just parroting the propaganda. Simon says, charity begins at home. Also says, like the Somalians in Minnesota, no fraud. The person, why should illegals get help from taxpayers? Former producer Matt says, it always upsets me whenever the first thing governments cut in order to, quote, save money, unquote, our education and health care. Ladies had mentioned, Simon says, my dad bought his own house and had 10 kids. We never had to ask for any free handout. He also says, if it's the law, if you enter in the country illegally, you will get deported. Producer Matt says, Simon, yeah, I'm pressing X to doubt that, chief. Simon says, manage your money, make good decisions. And Simon says, no matter who's been in office, I've always worked and made it fine. Another person says foreclosures in blue states.
Drink that.
Also, I did have to draw unemployment from a layoff a few times when Obama put America in recession. Former producer Matt says it's sometimes not that easy to Simon. There are so many things from class status to institutional racism that can make it very hard for people to make even the minimum of what is a livable wage. Simon says,
there's nothing that you're going to, I just have to stop right here because there's not anything that anyone can say that is going to change what Simon thinks or feels. He is here to be noise. Let's be very clear about that. Because everything that you
Okay.
I
He says,
know, but everything that he says, you can take it and you can plug it into Google, and it always comes up false, 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 false.
okay.
So it doesn't really matter at this point. I think that we would be wasting the time of people who are really here to learn and
Okay.
to talk and have conversation,
Respect.
because
Okay.
I just, Simon is
Okay.
what is wrong with social media, and which is why I was like, and I told you guys this, I can't.
Okay. So another person says New York's unlivable, unaffordable. We're doing okay in Florida. Another
Mhm.
person says grow your own food, make your own clothes, private property. So we've caught up with all our comments. Anything else you're wanting to add on what's been said on this topic?
I need to talk about the Florida situation. I do have experience in Florida. I sell in Florida. Florida is not fine when it comes to housing. You have hurricanes there. You've had all sorts of natural disasters, just as California and Louisiana. You're not okay with the housing. You may think that your housing prices are pretty good, but your issue is your taxes and your insurance.
Yep.
Now, the fact that it's such a disastrous state with the weather, Mother Nature, it makes the insurance so high that insurance agents are pulling out of that state. So therefore, you're stuck with very high insurance companies that do not really cover anything at all. Now, no matter how much you want to pay off your house in Florida, that's your principal and your interest. You are always, baby, you ain't never going to get rid of the taxes and the insurance. And a lot of the time, those are 3 times higher in Florida than what your principal and your interest are. So Florida is not really doing so good, my love. And I've had a lot of people say, I thought it was going to be nice to buy down to Florida, but I just can't afford it.
Dr. Tachi lives in Florida. She's been on this show many times and talked about that with the housing issue. So it's not like we're being told something that you think we don't know about. But I want to be very clear about this, because you guys know I'm on a short time today. When it comes to information and seeking information, always just go right to the statute. I mean, because I promise you, everything, I always check everything. Don't say anything. Don't just come here and say anything and don't think that I'm not going to check it. Because everything that Simon said, I went and put it in to check. And guess what? False, 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 false. But guess what? He needs to believe that, because it makes him feel good. For whatever little bit that he has, it makes him feel better, because there are people who have to feel that way. The idea that we're going to blame everything on immigrants, we're going to blame everything on this person, on that person, on this whatever, but not the people that we like. I don't feel good about the fact that the Obama administration didn't get DACA done and that Biden didn't get DACA done, but they also didn't have the votes to get it done. And I understand that part. I understand that is also part of our process. And I accept that it's part of our process. And if we want to change the process, we have to go and vote for the people who will. But there is not anything about anybody who, let me tell you something. And I've been gone a couple weeks. Not one person being an immigrant in this country is the reason I had a lump in my breast. Not a person being an immigrant in this country stopped me from finding the medical care that I needed, or clogged up all kinds of appointments because, the immigrants took all the appointments first. No, they took my appointments first because I had serious issues. Okay. That's how they do things. They don't do it because the immigrants no. That's how they do things. And the more you say those things out loud to yourself and think about how irrational they sound, think about how crazy they sound, and then ask yourself why you are not in a mental health institution. Because the truth of the matter is if there is an immigrant stopping you from doing anything in your life, then why aren't you doing something to change your circumstances? Because you know what? When I get roadblocks, I don't blame other people. I look at myself and see what I can be doing differently, how I can move different, how I can rearrange things or do a new outlook. You know what? I've worked in communications for a long time. AI comes through. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to go back to school and get the stuff that I need to do to keep doing my job as these things advance. That's just how life is. You can't blame everybody else for your circumstances. At some point, you have to step up to the plate. But the other part of it too is that, guess what? Our federal government, these things and these laws, do you know how long it takes to change legislation in this country? It takes a long time. So these the laws that HUD operates on and all these other agencies, they've been there for a long time. And if you actually open up our code of laws, our constitution and everything, you will find that these things have been here for decades, centuries. You go to different things. Yes, that is why we have a president who can go back to a 200-year-old law and pull it up in 2026 and say, I'm going to apply it now. Because guess what? That law didn't change. Why? Because progress meant that we didn't need to rely on it anymore, but they didn't change it. Because changing it takes a long time. And changing it takes a long time. So I know for a lot of people this is angering, but guess what? Our society is changing. And either you can progress with it and go on about your life, or you can be stuck in the past and refuse to move on. But know this, the country is going to move on without you. With or without you.
Are we still going to march for people's rights? I don't care. I'm not going to stand by and allow people who are coming here and want to go through due process to not allow them to have that right. That is their right to have due process. You have people going to get their paperwork. You have people who actually have a green card and they are not allowing them to complete the process or even get into the program at all before they deport them out of here. Nowhere in our laws does that say that that's okay. Due process. Now, there is.
Can I just say this one thing too, to piggyback on what you just said, LaLa, and let's be clear. Think about it this way. If things ever got so bad here, if you hated having a Black president so bad, or you hated having, Joe Biden or a Democrat as president so bad, guess what? If you wanted to immigrate to another country, you could. And guess what? They have programs and they would take you. They would take you. And the fact that you want to not be able to take people here, but in the back of your head, expect that other countries will do the same to us, is insanity. It's insanity and it's unjust. But LaLa, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done with Simon because Simon doesn't have the ears to hear or the compassionate heart to understand how we do things here in America, and he wants to continue to say, Obama did this and Obama did that. No president. I've never agreed with any president 100%. Yeah. Yes, Obama had to do things, but he also did things the way he was supposed to do things. And if he didn't, honey, it would have been lynchings all over America.
Exactly.
But I do want to address, because we did have a question in the comments about, she has a question. I thought HUD was a program where people had to put in so many hours of helping to build houses before they were able to qualify for the home. I really don't know HUD. That is not a part of the HUD program. You are actually thinking about Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit organization that also helps people in housing where you do. Jimmy Carter was huge on that. Until that man died, he was building homes. And then you get into the program, you take classes, you learn to be a responsible homeowner, but you also help your fellow man to build their homes. And then after a while, after you've completed the program, then someone else comes along and a bunch of people will put together your house as well. That is not a part of HUD. HUD does have programs for first-time homeowners. In fact, they encourage that because any foreclosures that they have taken back in the HUD program, they are offered to occupants, owner occupants, before they're offered to any type of investors. And you're allowed to use FHA loans for that. So that's only 3.5% down for your down payment. And if the house needs some work, you can also use a program called the 203K. Two different programs. One is a nonprofit, the other is our government. So I just wanted to clarify that because she had a genuinely good question.
That was a very good question. And you know what, too? We have to be clear. HUD only services 5 million. There are 300 plus million people in America. HUD services 500 million units, period. In those units, 9 million people live. The majority of those people are children. So if your cold-hearted self has a problem with children having housing, then your problems are bigger than just the government.
Okay, so what we're going to do, I got one or two more comments here. We'll get to our next conversation piece. Let me just, friend Matt says to Simon, I'm glad life is so good for you, but there are so many others who struggle and can't have that. In order for society to grow, we need to help each other. And let me see if we got anything else. And Angela says to LaLa, oh, okay, thank you for clarifying that for me.
You're welcome.
So we are good. We're going to move to our next conversation piece. So let me bring it up here. We're going to do it this way.
Was once again in the global spotlight as state authorities probe chilling new allegations tied to Jeffrey Epstein's former Zorro Ranch, according to newly released U.S. Department. New Mexico is once again in the global spotlight as state authorities probe chilling new allegations tied to Jeffrey Epstein's former Zorro Ranch, according to newly released U.S. Department.
Okay, we're having a technical difficulty there, so sorry about that. We'll take that off, but we'll go to our next conversation piece, and it is New Mexico probes allegation of bodies buried near Epstein Ranch. LaLa?
Yeah, I wanted to discuss this because this is finally something that that was actually pretty shocking in the fact that you hear so many people kowtowing and bowing down to these Epstein files and nothing is getting done. But I wanted to start with New Mexico because while Washington is having all these debates and these press releases and these political narratives, New Mexico is actually digging in. And state authorities are actually investigating the allegations that were tied to Epstein's Zorro Ranch. And what triggered it was a 2019 email that referenced in the federal documents that there were allegedly 2 girls who were killed and buried next to the ranch on the order of Jeffrey Epstein. So I want to be clear. Right now, it's just allegation. It's not verified yet. Nobody's have been confirmed yet. And there's actually no proof right now. But it's enough to know where New Mexico has said, hold up, wait a minute, hold up. Wait, we are having something in our state that's not being taken care of. New Mexico actually requested the unredacted federal records. And of course, who's dragging their feet? The DOJ. On whose order is underneath the DOJ? Right? Miss Blonde Bobblehead has been up underneath him since Florida, right? But New Mexico has reopened the case. They're actively investigating. And here's what truth looks like. They're not even putting out statements. This is not a political thing that they're saying right now. They're just saying, hold up, wait a minute. Now you're talking about murder. And there could be families who are also looking for people that need closure. So they're taking the time to do investigation, whether this is popular with this administration or not. And right now, this actually kind of looks tangible because we have come to learn that a lot of the things in these Epstein files and emails are true. Now, here's what bothers me the freaking most about these Epstein files. I'm so happy that New Mexico has stepped up and they're doing their job, as should anybody in those files that are getting called up. The rest of the world is also doing what's right. Former Prince Andrew was arrested this week because of his himself being in the files and proof that he was in the files, photos of him being in the files. They are taking action. A sultan has been taken down because of his wretchedness in the files. Lawyers, people in corporations are all stepping down, and other countries are stepping up and calling their people to task for being involved in the Epstein files. Meanwhile, Orange is saying, well, I've been exonerated. The Epstein files have exonerated me, and we're not talking about that anymore, and we're not releasing any more files. Only, what was it? How many was it? 3,000? Aisha, you're
3
muted.
million.
3 million.
I'm like, if you're exonerated, then release the other 3 million, because that means that you wouldn't be allocated. What's so funny about this? On this, I think we can all agree that the media has been grossly inept at their job.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I'm sorry, is Todd Blanche his name?
Todd Blanche.
The deputy. When Todd Blanche went up there and said, well, there's this, and deaths. And I'm like, wait, when I heard, I'm like, wait a second. Journalism background, wait a second. Did he say deaths? Because my first question to him been like, what do you mean by deaths? Not one reporter let that go unchecked. I mean, let it go without checking it. Not one reporter said, wait a second, I'm sorry, did you say deaths? And what do you mean by that? So when LaLa presented this story, I was like, that came back to my mind. I'm like, and not one person, I said, he actually said deaths, and not one person asked him, what do you mean there's evidence of deaths or something in the file? I mean, I just think that I really feel, as a survivor myself, and LaLa, you understand what I'm saying, I really feel for these women.
Oh my God.
Because I feel for them the same way I felt for R. Kelly's victims. And I'm glad that they finally got justice, even though some of them are still dealing with stuff.
Yes.
From that. These women, they voted for people that were telling them, we will take care of you on this. And those people are failing them. And it's like, how is any victim, male, female, child, I don't care, how is any victim now supposed to feel comfortable going to any form of government and saying, somebody sexually assaulted me, and expect that they'll get justice?
I'm going to try and present the story again, because I think people need to see how serious it is, potentially serious this situation is.
Oh, it's
So
not
let me try
potential.
again.
It is.
New Mexico is once again in the global spotlight as state authorities probe chilling new allegations tied to Jeffrey Epstein's former Zorro Ranch, according to newly released U.S. Department of Justice documents. An email from 2019 claims Epstein ordered the bodies of 2 foreign girls to be buried in the hills outside his secluded New Mexico estate. The New Mexico Department of Justice confirms it is actively investigating the allegation and conducting a broader review in light of those newly unsealed FBI and DOJ files. Officials have formally requested an unredacted version of the email, along with full metadata and identifying information, to track down the sender and verify the claims. That email, sent to a local radio personality just months after Epstein's 2019 death, was allegedly written by a former employee of Zorro Ranch. The writer claimed 2 young foreign girls died by strangulation during rough fetish sex and were then buried on land near the ranch, roughly 30 miles south of Santa Fe. New Mexico's land commissioner, Stephanie Garcia Richard, says her office discovered the redacted email while reviewing the latest Epstein document release, and she has pushed state and federal authorities to fully investigate any criminal activity tied to the ranch and adjacent public lands. In response, the legislature has also launched its first detailed inquiry into long-standing accusations that Epstein used Zorro Ranch to sexually exploit girls and women for more than 2 decades. For now, these burial claims remain unproven. No graves or human remains have been confirmed, and investigators are stressing the need for patience as they sort fact from speculation. But if the allegations are substantiated, they would open a harrowing new chapter in the Epstein saga, raising questions not only about what happened on that vast New Mexico property, but also about how much was missed or ignored in earlier investigations. One thing is clear. Years after Epstein's death, the search for truth and for accountability around Zorro Ranch is far from over.
Okay.
And you know what? For me, it's this. I think this whole thing of like, oh, let's move on from the Epstein. This is, I think, the hard part for a lot of people to understand. I don't think our government understands it.
Oh, they understand.
Well, they understand, but I don't think that they are. Their heads are so focused on the one thing that they can't see the other part of it. And it's like, okay, you know what? You're protecting Donald Trump. I get that. You're trying to protect some other people, and I get that too. I see you doing that. But that doesn't mean that crimes weren't committed. That doesn't mean that these women don't deserve justice. If your purpose of doing this is just to protect people and not to get justice for the victims, then you're going about it wrong. I mean, because the bottom line is, and again, and I see it this way because the parallels with what happened with R. Kelly are very similar in terms of, the music business they kept looking around, like just ignoring it, and people kept working with him because a hit is a hit, right? And he was making money for people, and so people overlooked the fact that this grown man married a child. He married a 15-year-old, okay, and then had her blackballed in the industry for 3 years when it came out. So, and then continued doing this. People worked with this man knowing this stuff happened, okay? Knowing this stuff was going on. And the same here is with Jeffrey Epstein. People who were going to his parties, going to his island, going to his homes, they knew what was going on. They said nothing.
Which makes you just as guilty.
Makes you
guilt by
does.
association.
Yes.
Yes.
And it is not right. I think that we can all, and we should all, be able to agree on the fact that abuse of children is never okay. Period.
I don't care who you are. And see, someone earlier said, this is what drives me crazy. People want to say, well, if it was a Democrat, no, baby. No. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you on the red side, the blue side, the green side, the polka dot side. I don't care if you the Pope. I don't care if you the president. I don't care if you are the highest of the high. If you did this, you need to burn and you need to be brought down. I don't care who you are. And another thing, y'all keep hollering about Bill Clinton, but let me tell you, Bill Clinton and Hillary are both going, call us. And they won't do it because the Clintons know how to play it where all of it will become tumbling down.
Right. And as far as I'm concerned, look, I told someone this the other day, we were talking about it. I said, you know what? I had a very, very hard time voting for John Kerry in 2004 because there was something off about John Edwards to me. He rubbed me the wrong way. I couldn't deal with it. Couldn't put my finger on it. But then what happened when he tried to run in 2007? We found out about Riel Hunter.
Yes.
That he cheated on his wife who had breast cancer and had a child with her. And I was like, getting $600 haircuts. I'm like, I knew it. I did not like him. And he was a smooth talker, all of that. But yeah, I mean, anybody, the line we should be able to draw where we all can agree is protecting children, no matter what they look like, no matter where they are from. A baby is a baby. And with that, I got to go, guys. You guys know that.
All right. Aisha, we'll see you
Aisha.
next week. Be well. Good to see you. LaLa, I want to continue this conversation. Especially on this subject. I have a number of concerns. One of them that, as you had mentioned, people especially in business, are resigning or leaving, but no one has been charged in America.
No, and that's where I have an issue. I don't even have a word for it, Dr. Vibe. It's nothing but the most grossest of the gross. When you have blonde bobblehead who refuses to acknowledge the women in the room when she was called before Congress, that's how hard she is protecting her master. That's how hard she's protecting her master. And the fact that she is a woman herself speaks volumes to me about her character and how much she just does not care, because her job is to make sure that her master gets protected at all costs. But at what cost? Do you understand? At what cost? Even Nixon had some kind of shame about what he did. This is so very twisted. This is an absolute different thing. We are not seeing this from a past. We've all known, we know there's always underground things that go on. But what we didn't, and I don't think anybody really knew, is just how deep all of these roots and connectors are that connect underneath the ground of different countries, different authorities, different billionaires, anybody who had any kind of power. Epstein was willing to play ball and play game with them to see just how much he could get on him. You have to understand that Ghislaine also came from this type of world. You know, all
Yes.
those movies that we get to see, you know,
Yes, her father.
they blow in the darts, right, to kill people. Yes, her father was that deep into it. So two twisted minds came together to create this world of corruption and power. Because as long as they could pull the strings with corruption and nastiness and what they could do, and then they knew they had the power that they needed to get anything that they want. What we are seeing is the powerful protecting the powerful, but I don't know how long they'll be able to hold on. At some point, someone is going to have to be the sacrificial goat.
Okay. In the house, Dr. Tachi, good to see you as always. Exactly. And people continue to play. And you know, Dr. Tachi, I know you're probably not camera ready, but you're always allowed to call in and add on to the conversation piece. We always love to have you here. I want to take this to some different places also. I was listening to a online show today, and a person that's very much respected. Yeah, good. Call in if you want. Dr. Tachi said okay. And they were saying that unfortunately, in a lot of corporate workplaces, it's not pretty, especially with the removal of DEI. And there's a lot of men that are behaving like boys. I don't know if people are thinking about this, but what sort of image does this, especially in America, show? Yes, it is. The call-in feature is still a thing. Yes, it is, Matt. What is this showing our men, the men and the women of America? Because there'll be some men saying, hey, you know what? If the people at the top are okay with this.
Dr. Vibe, it's never gone away.
Well, this is what I want to talk
No,
to
this
you
is what
about.
I'm saying, because it's never gone away. You see this not only in the rich, you also see it filtering down to middle class, lower class. There is nothing that has ever been gone away. It has always been the men have always wanted the power. Now, women every once in a while will get on up in there and get them some power too. All right. You know, you got the madams who know how to run things. Okay. But everywhere you go, let's look at this. Let's look at it like this. I always like to reference the church, the Black church and the white church. For many, many years, we were taught that, you know, we were supposed to stand up in the rafters. We couldn't be down there with them good white folks. We was taught from a certain slave Bible, and this you need to be blah, blah, blah. The minute we were able to have our own churches, they structured them the same way that the white people taught them. It's the same with the fraternities. It's the same with the Masons. It's the same with anything that was separated black and white. They took that on and kept the principles of certain people had more power over you. There's always some type of hierarchy. And it doesn't matter if the minister was sleeping with the little girl in the front seat. You know, how the cute little thing in the front seat, you know, the ones that the ushers covered up with the little lap thing. So, because her skirt was a little too short. This is never gone away. It is never gone away. It is always going to stay the same message. We are just seeing this exposed on such a higher level that we're not even also addressing the fact that this has happened in the lower levels of society as well.
Do you think that women? Okay, let me roll this conversation. As an American woman, how do you feel with what's going on, especially and the lack of? I'm looking for a term. There's a term I'm looking for, but I'm going to say the lack of respect of women, not only from like with this incident, especially from many years back to now, that what message does it say to American women?
Oh, baby, they've always wanted us to be in our place. It tells us that we're not worthy of what men will always have. We're not worthy of the power that they have. And they always find a way to bring us a peg down. Now, you'll have a couple of success stories, but let me tell you something. Within those success stories, you're always going to have people come out and tell the truth of just how hard they had to fight, what type of sexism they had to fight. You know, the glass ceiling is very, very real. You know, this is nothing that's always a hierarchy. Women have to fight 3 times as hard, and we get paid less than powerful men. This still reiterates what we've known all along. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a Black woman, you're going to be put in your place, right? So even within the white world of community where white women get some power, a white woman and a Black woman are also not going to be viewed the same. Women are being told our value is not there. We are to be the women, the bearers. Hey, it's nice that you want to fry up bang the home the bacon and fry it up too, but you need to be home with the babies. Your value to white men is never going to be equal to them. They must always have their foot ahead of you.
Okay, got viewer here says, I regret voting for the presidential candidate who was found guilty of felonies 2024 and was found liable for sexual abuse 2023. I should have not supported the same candidate as the J6 rioters. Hans, hello, Hans. How are you?
Hey, Seth, good to see you, sweetie. But I want to hear Audrey. I want to hear Audrey. No, I'm not gonna bash. I'm not at that. You know what? I'm part of the 92%, y'all. I ain't even listen. I sit back and watch. I'd like to know what you're going to do if you regret that. What are you going to do to make a change? Are you just going to sit in your regret, or are you going to take action to make a change?
Yeah. Okay. Let me also ask then, in regards to this situation, I heard a very interesting thought process. A gentleman that you and I know, I won't mention his name, he's online. He said that he thought it would be better that the files don't get released until the Republicans are out of office, because right now the strategy is to flood the zone with all this information. And this is this gentleman talking, saying the current president, all the attention is on everyone except him.
Exactly. So much so that he likes to create wars. You do realize that we're getting ready to go to war with Iran.
Yes.
Anytime we get close to anything that he feels dangerous, he creates a diversion. And it's done on purpose. We've always said it's always been a case of don't mind the man behind the curtain. It's the Wizard of Oz thing. And he's going to continue to do that. And as long as people allow him to skate with it, he will get away with it. I know, many years ago, I used to pray, oh Lord, we're going to see it. We're going to see it this time. We're going to see it come through. We're going to see this happen. Oh, it's going to happen. And it's not happening. And I've lost faith in the fact that it is, because he is protected by the powerful. The powerful protect the powerful. Now, I think that man going to die before anything come out. I don't think he's really in good health, and I honestly don't think he's going to make it through this year.
LaLa, you're also online a decent amount, definitely more than Aisha these days. Are you hearing many men speak up?
You know what? I'm glad you asked me that, because I have to say I have seen a lot of white men now step up from his camp. And it also depends on what algorithm you're in, because it feeds you what it thinks you want to see. But I purposely sometimes go to the orange juice side just because I need to see what they're saying. But I've actually seen people even try to be kind about it. Now, Mr. President, that's not right. You said you was going to release those files. I'm starting to lose faith in you. That's a start. It's a spark. So I have to say, yes, I have seen more white men step up in their stance. I've also seen a lot of people make their stance about ICE, and they're a lot of them are losing their followers, and they're saying, I don't care. I didn't need you in the first place, because I'm always going to stand on what's right. And these were people who actually are Republicans who have been, you have to distinguish now. I mean, you have to, you talking about old school Republican, or are you talking about orange Republicans? But at some point, you have to pick a side. And many of them are seeing that they were promised a lie.
Interesting. Got someone here saying it's so tragic, but also ridiculous and funny in a way. And also they say, I've seen people break up because of Republican stuff. True. I think it's going to be very interesting. The State of the Union address coming up this Tuesday.
I'm not watching it. Many of us are not watching it. And let's be very clear, the Democrats will not be there. They have said that they will be protesting and boycotting the State of the Union.
I really, and I think it'd just be so interesting. I'd love to have a focus group of women asking them about.
I'm tired of the vibe, because here's the thing. You're going to, you mean of Trump women?
No.
Or do you want a balance?
No, I want a balance. And I just like them to talk about this subject and just hear the concerns versus the other, because some people are saying, because of the lack of judicial actions about this is going to set back male, female, men-woman relationships, at least in America, it's setting it backwards.
It is. I'm grateful for my relationship. I don't have to worry about that in mine. But I do know that,
I think we have someone here. Caller?
Yes. Okay.
There we go. Yes, I didn't take a look down. The one and only Dr. Tachi is in the house. Dr. Tachi, whose periodic friend, comes in and joins and hangs out with us. Dr. Tachi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you both?
We're always good in your presence.
Oh, please.
Just stop your noise. Of course we are. What do you have to add about this subject?
Oh,
geez. Oh, no.
well, I mean, truthfully, I don't know if there's something that I missed, because I was trying to join and it kept saying unavailable. So
because I didn't look down at my monitor. That's me. My fault.
Oh, okay. So I muted it just in case.
No, whatever you have to add, it's going to be of positive value. Go ahead.
I want to go back to the what you were talking about in terms of the whole accountability of this LaLa, and the fact, well, you and Aisha talking about when it's someone who has notoriety or money, people look the other way. People look the other way when it's someone that doesn't have notoriety or money. This has been going on, even, I mean, obviously not to this degree, this cult-like degree, but these types of abuses have been going on forever. And people look away when it's something small. Think about when it's like, oh, well, we don't want him to get in trouble. When it comes to any type of abuse, I remember very well when I was little that we had neighbors and they went to this Pentecostal church. I'm not blaming Pentecostals, okay? I'm just saying they went to a Pentecostal church and they were in church like all the time. So I remember they had a church member, because sometimes we would go with them. They had a church member who was burned. And, we didn't think of anything of it, but, she had like burns on her face and things. And so one day we were like, what happened? And they told the story of the husband who was abusive, right? And all she would do, they said she was, they got into an argument one day and she was just standing there holding her Bible. Well, he ended up setting her on fire and the house was on fire as well. So the kids, they escaped, but they had like, burns on their hands and things like that. So what ended up happening is he went to jail and the men of the church went and bailed him out. And when they were telling the story, the kids are like, because, they're saved. What? Is that what God and Jesus tells you? So you, putting this together and connecting it, people not only turn away, but they make excuses for why they should protect abusers when it comes to any type of abuse. So do we think that, and this is a small, it's not really a storefront, but just let's call it a storefront church where people are doing this. Do you think on the highest levels, men are not doing this? People are not doing this? So whenever it comes to power, someone with money, someone with notoriety, they want to keep the good times rolling. We just finished Mardi Gras, right?
Yeah.
Let the good times roll. And so that's what they wanted. They did not only did they want the good times to keep rolling, they didn't want to be connected with it. So I'll never forget how when it came to R. Kelly, the music industry was like, oh yeah, well, people were like, as you all said, kept working with him, but individuals, the public also continued to buy his music.
Yes.
So we are just as culpable for those acts when you are funding such terror. So we also have to look at the individual's role in this.
That's right.
Because the reason, let's connect it all the way up to the White House now. The reason any of this is being allowed is because people were culpable for putting those individuals there. So we need to look at the system as a whole and the people who support the system. And don't give me the rubbish about, oh, well, they're in a cult, they're brainwashed. I don't care. I understand that, cultism is very brainwashing. But at some point, if you don't hold yourself accountable for your actions, somebody else will. And that's what's happening here. And it's troubling and puzzling that other countries are holding people who were involved, at least getting rid of them out of there. Doesn't mean they're holding them accountable necessarily, but they're stripping them of the things that make them so public facing. And that's not happening here.
Right.
Yeah, Hans says here, my closest family member doesn't want my story of sexual abuse to come out because everyone looks so favorably in the family and is more worried about what his kids and their wives will say more than justice. And Hans says no accountability. It brings up two words that start with E: exception and excuse.
Mhm.
And before I came here, I was listening to a show and, relating back to the whole Epstein family, Ghislaine Maxwell,
Mm.
exception and excuse. And she grew up in a family of at least 8 or 9 kids. So, hey, the rest of those kids weren't involved like she was.
Mm.
Some people we give exceptions and excuses to. Is that right to do that?
But then that feeds right back into what you said, Dr. Vibe. What does this tell women? She was smart enough. She was brutal enough. She was cutthroat enough to wise right on up with her dad. And it's got to be that type of twisted character, that type of twisted personality for a man such as her father to be like, out of all of my kids, this one right here, she get it. She get it. So you understand there are some women who can do that and still hold their own. But look at the fact that she also was an abuser of these women, was just as guilty as Epstein for the atrocities that he did to these children.
Yeah, who are now women.
Yes.
You
And
know?
who are trying to get justice.
Well, this is a saying like, I would just love, my name isn't Don Lemon, but I'd love Don Lemon to just, because he does this man on the street, I'd love him to go out in the street and just ask different women saying, okay, with what's going on, and I'm getting an echoing from Dr. Tachi. Tachi, do you have the echo cancellation on the road feature?
Do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, now it's okay now. That I just love to do man on the street. And no problem, LaLa. It just said, man on the street just asking, okay, with what all's gone on with the Epstein files, how do you feel as a woman in this country?
Okay, so Dr. Vibe, I know that that's what you want. That's what I want too. However, it's not going to be satisfying for you. You understand?
Oh, no, it will. Sorry to interrupt, LaLa. It will be satisfying because I want to hear it. I'm not hearing, like, I just like to
You're
hear.
going to hear Kool-Aid drinking people.
I don't think everybody. I don't think all of them.
No, no. I think you have to understand there is a level of this where you have women who literally have Trump tattooed on their bellies. Trump can park it here. You understand? Those are the people that are never going to change their minds. It's like talking to a racist who you'll never change their mind. Blackity's blackity black and black ain't good. Now, we still have the KKK and things of that nature. This is no different. Their cult is no different. They will never admit that this man has done anything wrong. And so that's why those interviews don't even faze me anymore. I would love to hear something out of their mouths, but just like we talked about last week, there is someone who was very popular, and I think she has her own podcast or whatever, and she's a massive Trumpster. And she was saying she has twisted this and said, well, if you're not in the files, if you're not in the Epstein files, that just goes to prove that you're a nobody. So in her mind, she has justified and twisted to make herself feel justified in her support for this man. So this is why I don't even care anymore. I don't want to hear anything anymore because I'm really sick and tired of hearing the bull. If you're not going to open your eyes to this level of corruption and call for justice, you're just as guilty as they are.
Dr. Tachi, anything you're wanting to add?
Yeah, even if they do a woman on the street, a person on the street speaking to a woman about how they feel, it doesn't matter because nothing is ever done about it. So it's always discourse, it's always conferences, it's always think pieces, it's always just talk and banter, but nothing is ever significantly done. And so that women say, well, this is how I feel. So even there will be some maybe protected, well, maybe it's not as bad, but then there will definitely be women that are like, this does not feel good or safe at all. But women have been saying this forever. Nobody ever pays attention. what would be the difference now? Because the narrative is always swung toward, oh, okay, that's not, it just becomes another timepiece of the week. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Let's look at it if we're talking about, it's Black History Month, right? Well, it's Black History Year, forget that. But during Black History Month, they love to ask Black people all types of questions, right? Yeah, about history, but then we always get the ones about how far do you feel we've come now?
Mhm.
And the answer is always the same. We still have a long way to go. We
Mhm.
always have a long way.
I think we lost her. Did we lose her, Dr. Vibe?
No, she's there. She's there.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Nothing ever gets done to really put Black people in the place that they need to be. So socially, economically, etc. It's always just talk. So then if that's the case, and that's the case with all of these groups that are somehow underrepresented, that are somehow oppressed, it's always just talk. So it just becomes another topic. So I know how I feel, but we already know that the world doesn't care.
So we have someone from Brazil saying, I'm from Brazil, and our version of 47 is now behind bars.
Which a lot of other countries, the same thing. We addressed that a little earlier. You may not have been here. You know, why is it other countries are doing what is right? That South Korean previous president, they gave him a lifetime sentence. Do you know that was actually giving him grace? Because they could have put him to death because of the coup, because of what he did. Other countries, and I'm not saying that there's not corruption in other countries. Come on, baby. No, we ain't that stupid. I'm just saying it's good to see that other countries do take it seriously when it comes to certain things, that they do step up and take accountability for what's going on in this. What I don't like is none of this is being checked at all here. I mean, right now it's just another story and another day in paradise for people. No matter how disgusting we get, no matter how many of us who are victims ourselves, who are survivors ourselves, nobody's thinking about how all these stories that are coming out every single day affect us.
Well, not only
We're
that,
at a point where I have literally thrown up from having memories.
so LaLa and Dr. Tachi, even that, but what impact is this going to have for our younger generation?
That they don't matter. Power only matters. But Dr. Vibe, don't you see that's what a lot of them want? These kids are thriving and jumping up and down and scratching and chicken hawking on social media because everything is, hey, get rich. You could be a part of this too. So I'm not saying every child and every kid, but I'm telling you, a generation is looking for that power, but they don't want to pay into it. They don't want to work for it. They want everything to be push button. They want everything now to be a prompt and then give me the magic button and then I'll get to it. We are actually seeing it. We are also seeing some young good people who are also fighting for our country. Regardless, you're always going to have a good and bad side. But the world is telling you that with this story, it doesn't matter. You're nothing to those in power.
I want to push also this to Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi, you're a university professor. You deal directly with young people. What impact do you see this potentially of this Epstein, the lack of accountability, this potential could have on future generations when it comes to women and the treatment of women?
That's an interesting question. So right now, I'm not seeing my students on a day-to-day basis like I was when I was physically teaching on campus. So I teach completely online now. And on top of that, the campus of University of Maryland I teach for was founded specifically to educate military personnel. So a lot of my students are not only a little bit older than the stereotypical average age, because there's no such thing as an average age of a college student now, but they're older than the the 18 to 24 that we know college students, undergraduate college students to be, and they're also military. So that doesn't mean all military personnel think the same way, but there is an alignment with protection of the nation, regardless of who's in charge. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, and that's not something that came out, that has come out because I'm teaching a film class. So that's not necessarily coming out. And because I'm teaching it online, that's not necessarily coming out. But when I was on campus, I probably would have seen and heard more about this. But I can say that, LaLa, what was the last point you made? Because I want to speak to it, and it's like escaping me right now.
I don't know.
Right, thank you. You're very helpful. Anyway, because as I was answering this, I was going to speak to what you were saying, and now it's escaped me. But there was something that I wanted to in terms of what you were saying about youth, I think 100% there are those youth that are just ready to do the next TikTok challenge. But I also think, just like with a lot of the other things that distract us from this, everything is very heavy. This is just one thing in the long line of rubbish that is occurring right now. And sometimes I think that when people don't fight, or they seem to be on board, some actually are, but some, and then some people point to other things that don't seem to be connected, or they're like, what about such and such? I think that they are fighting the low-hanging fruit that they can reach, because what's above that feels too ominous, if that makes any sense. So it's the same thing. I say this all the time with people. I keep talking about church people today, even though I'm a church person, but we have to tell the truth. When people fight certain things, when Christians fight certain things, so there are some who are very anti-LGBTQI+. There are some that are very anti, other things. But I'm like, you're spending your time fighting this quote unquote demon when there are demons in the White House. And I'm like, what the heck? But I sat and thought about it. I'm like, for them, it probably feels like they can't solve that other problem. But this is a problem they can quote unquote solve. Does that make sense? So I think sometimes when you have people who feel hopeless, like there's nothing they can really do about the larger problem, they point to all the small other problems that are unrelated to solve, because at least then they feel like they're making a difference and there's some impact. Do I excuse people for that? Nope, I don't, but I understand where it comes from.
Okay. Hans says, I think the youth are seeing that they can get away with the trash they're witnessing people get away with. Yeah. It's an old phrase I use. People replicate what they emulate. So before then we kick it off, then what, especially from you both your lenses, with the way that you both feel America treats women, where is America's moral compass on Saturday, February 21st, 2026?
We're nowhere, Dr. Vibe. There is no morals in the way America is being run. And I don't know if there has been in a very long time. We like to pretend like we did. Like, at some point you would at least think somebody loved your neighbor, but now you got neighbors calling on neighbors just because they want their apartment and they brown. So therefore they're going to call HUD and report them so they can be deported so they can have their apartment, and smile in your face while you're doing it. We are really living in some immoral times. Unfortunately, this is not going to get better before we see it get much worse. The question really is, What are you going to do about it? And yes, I'm talking to you, individual. You cannot take on every single thing that is going on right now, but you can take on something that you're passionate about. So if it's voting that you're passionate about, your change is to be for voting. If it's education that you're passionate about, you need to go and work in that lane. If it's ICE that you want off the streets and you have the manpower and the guts and the wherewithal to stand up to them, then that's your lane. But as a community, we have to come together in the lanes that we can work best in order to get this back on track. And we are seeing that more and more, baby. You're just not getting the truth of the matter because the media is not reporting it. However, the world is. Just in Parliament itself at the UN, there was a statement that was said, and they referenced ICE, and they referenced what the people are saying. She said, in Minnesota, this is to a world platform. In Minnesota, they are telling people, do not come out of your house. ICE is here. And she said that it is the world's job to make sure that humanity is treated with respect. So what you're not seeing is what America is doing is also center stage on the world matter. At some point, something's going to break, and it may not just be in America that's going to break. It may be the world that steps in as well.
Want to add to that, Dr. Tachi? Where does America sign as a moral compass?
Well, you heard me laughing.
Jeez.
It would follow that you would have to have morals in order to have a moral compass. And I submit to you that when you bring your stupid self to a land that is not yours to steal from the original inhabitants, and not only do you do that, you've stolen land and now you import people, you steal other people to work this land for you, to build it, then you continue to terrorize everyone once you've done this. You never started with a moral compass. How can we expect morality from people who never had it in the first place? And it carries on from generation to generation because no one ever calls out the original people on it. Therefore, it's co-signed on. They took it to the bank, they have a co-signer, and you got the loan. Nobody has said anything. Why should they change if there is no consequence in changing? And I'm pointing to everyone. I'm not blaming the world for this by any means. But when you continue to trade with countries who engage in this, when you continue to see this as the place of opportunity and you keep coming, and guess what? You are adding to the economy when you work and you're paying taxes and things like that. Even people who they claim are so-called illegal, they're still paying into the system because they buy in this country, etc. The immigration thing is a whole other separate thing. But the point is, you all are supporting these types of things when it happens. And why does it matter here? Because the U.S. has put themselves center stage as the leader of the free world. And so when you continue to hold them up also by using, and it's harder than it sounds. I'm not saying it's easy, but a lot, even though the U.S. currency is waning in importance, it's still the major currency in the world at this point, until countries say, like Burkina Faso say to France, we're not using francs anymore, bye. But when you continue to use our currency, when you continue to do things, you too are also funding this type of thing. It's only coming out now because there's somebody so heinous at the end. But this has been going on, and now it's starting to blow up. So I hope people are seeing this is not the knight in shining armor that it purports itself to be. And when people are talking about, particularly people of color, are talking about there are real issues here, stop, not listening and turning your back. Oh, no, it's okay. But can we get this trade deal? Stop doing that. And I'm speaking especially to some of the smaller countries and smaller countries of the global south, quote unquote, that frankly don't have to do it because you have economic power in the form of resources. You just keep giving your power away to stupid people who don't deserve it. That's it. I won't say exactly what I wanted to say, but that's what I think.
All right, some comments here. Nugent says, bring back the Bible and Christian values and morals. Morals will follow progressivism, promotes satanic values. Okay. Someone's saying 47 is, I'm not going to repeat that word because YouTube may not like that. Also says more Americans say 47 molested children more than voted for him than in all 3 elections combined. Someone
No,
says,
we questionizing, baby. You see what's going on with Musk, don't you?
Another person says the world has always been conquest and conquer. America was one of the first countries to end slavery. Well, that's a whole conversation.
That's actually not the case.
Okay, where there are now 50 million slaves in Africa and the Middle East today. I think a number of people look like us would question if slavery has ever ended in America.
That is the question,
right?
That's the thing. That brings up a whole thing with the incarceration system here. Is just a new level of enslavement when it comes to things. That's another conversation.
Yes, or some people would say it's just now the corporate plantation. That's a whole other conversation in itself. Ladies, any final comments on this one before we say exit stage left, as someone I love named Dr. Tachi would say? We good?
Yeah.
All right. Dr. Tachi, as always, thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, thank you.
You always have a seat here, whether you're off camera or on camera. You always have a seat here. Where can people get a hold of you?
You can find me at Dr._Tachi on most social media platforms. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can use Instagram at Dr._Tachi. I am also the founder of Indie Soup Media, which is an independent network for independent content creators, and that is at INDIESOUP Media.
And we have it up on the screen, so don't worry.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And then there's a lady called LaLa.
Yes, you can find me at laurakey.net. I am an international real estate agent. I can help you relocate if you would like to be a world citizen. You don't have to stay stuck. If you have the opportunity to explore this world, please take the opportunity to explore this world. And I have some free things there for you to open your mind to that possibility. I also have an Etsy store that I am building up. I have a couple of things to help you woosah. I have affirmation coloring books there. So please go and check those out. Very affordable. But guess what? I never ask, and a closed mouth never gets fed. LaLa's birthday is Monday.
Yes.
If you would like to buy me a coffee for just coming on here and expressing the way that I feel about America, please do, because LaLa loves coffee. And you can do that right there at buymeacoffee.com, Rebirth of LaLa.
What's your favorite coffee?
I am definitely I'm a latte girl, so I love like the cinnamon dolce lattes.
Oh wow,
my favorite.
The closest I've only had about 3 or 4 cups of coffee in my life, because when I first tasted it, yeah, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. Like when I first tasted it tastes so bad, and I guess the last time was many years ago was. It's a Tai Chi latte.
Yes.
But it's full of sugar.
I know, but that's why it's so good.
With the LaLa face to kick. Oh, with the LaLa face on it. All right, everybody. So with myself, if you want to get a hold of me, and you can stay on Dr. Tachi after too, if you wish. Taplink.cc/the drvibeshow.com is where you can catch me, and let's do some other things as we close out today. Let me see. Okay, someone says, give a shout to Pastor Coy Brooks and Project Hood training young people for careers in the violent neighborhoods of Chicago. Okay, if he's doing that, that's a good thing. And another person here saying, great conversation. I love every minute of it. Well, I hope you subscribe. That'd be nice if you love so much of it. All right. So let's close it out here also, too. If you want to watch replays of this epic conversation, the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also the Dr. Vibe Show, the DRVIBESHOW.com. So this is how we close it out. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger, block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider, love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. And as always, make it better. As always, God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith, walk good, and stay safe. And make sure you go to your doctor at least once a year. If you don't even have a doctor, get a doctor. Please and thank you. Your health is your wealth. Peace.